the immigration visas, which have been much attacked by lots of Tory MPs, and indeed, actually, I think by former Home Secretaries like Priti Patel, like Suella Braverman, and indeed the current Immigration Minister Robert Jenrick, who says the time for tinkering is now over. And these discussions about dealing with not just the illegal migrants on the boats, but also legal migrants. The 745,000 who came in 2022, more than left the country. So it was well over 1 million. I think it was 1.23 million who came to this country.
That's the gross amount.
The gross amount who came. And actually, an awful lot of people, they say, well, they're working. Well, yes, that's all very well, but you can get visas now to be earning 10 grand less than the average income in this country, or the median income. But also, you're allowed to, employers are allowed to say, well, we can't find anybody locally, so you're allowed to employ people from abroad at 20% less of the rate that they're paying Brits. Of course that undercuts British workers.
Yeah, we're paying the ones that are coming to work subsistence wages to undercut workers, but actually this argument that they are working is actually a lie. Nowhere near as many are working as we are told. And one of the big things that's come out... Well, that's the thing. One of the big things that's come out is the way that the dependence system is being exploited. And I mean, it's certain countries, certain people from certain countries, they come on work visas, but also on student visas. And particularly we're looking at India and Nigeria and Pakistan. They are the big offenders. They bring an awful lot of people who are, there's no other way of putting it, they're not productive. They're a drain on the economy. But of course, you come here to work on a subsistence wage, or you come on a student visa, and then you get to stay for 3 years afterwards. And ultimately, that is not to the greater benefit of the country, because they are a drain on the system. They cost more money. They put more pressure on services. And as we've
said, they need GP appointments. They need to go to, the kids need to go to school. They use roads.
The elderly parents need help.
Yeah, and they are not net contributors. They may be doing useful work and work that, for some reason, we can't get British people to do. But again...
even that's a lie. We're told constantly that they are highly skilled, highly trained. They are not. The highly skilled, highly trained ones go to the US, Canada, and Australia, the same place that our highly trained, highly skilled people go, because they get better wages there. Ultimately, this idea that only the brightest and best doctors and engineers, it is a lie constantly. And actually, where you look at where these people are going, it's the care, it's carers, it's service, it's nurses, it's that sort of thing. But then you also have to say, have these people been trained to the same standard that we would expect people trained in this country? And no, they are not.
But this is it. I mean, I've been accused of goodness knows what for pointing out a Reuters report. I mean, Reuters, well known for their right-wing pandering, as we know. But Reuters reported a few years back about doctors in India and saying that a quarter of the doctors working in India don't have a medical qualification. They just sort of basically bought a piece of paper. The corruption levels in that country are so high, you can basically get someone to do the exams for you. You can get, false documentation. And there is a real concern. And if you look at the rates of doctors who get struck off and go for disciplinary hearings over serious negligence and incompetence, malpractice in the UK, I think 75% of those are people who've been trained abroad.
And
nothing to do with the colour of anyone's skin.
No.
It's nothing. It's totally and utterly irrelevant. It's where you were trained and were you trained to the same high standards. But again, I bleat on about this all the time. It's the fact that we have a few thousand every year of A-level students. They come out with a load of grade A's and grade A stars in science and maths, and they cannot get into a medical degree course. They desperately want to be a doctor because we have a cap on the number of people who can come from this country. But if you come from China or India, you can pay, 30 grand a year, and then you can come on those courses. I think this is insane.
It is. And again, actually, you just mentioned the NHS thing. When you look at the number of people who die in NHS care, for whom one of the contributing reasons, if not the reason, is clinical error, and then you understand, 75% of the people that are struck off for clinical errors are born overseas or trained overseas. Well, that kind of tells you, actually, that these people are not propping up the NHS. They're sort of barely keeping the lifeboat afloat.
But the vast majority will be fine and will be great doctors and great nurses. No, but
it depends where. It really does depend where. And this is, again, it's not a racist thing. It is the systems in those countries. And if you are existing in a country which is endemically corrupt, which is part of the reason a lot of the people leave, because they are corrupt, that is always going to be a possibility. But again, we have immigration, with the immigration minister now saying that the time has come, Tory MPs saying something else is done. They are the ones that have presided over this. It is absolutely disgraceful to be listening to these people who have absolutely backed this policy and have done nothing, and will have known that this was the case in the past. They've done nothing now until it's an election cycle.
Well, exactly. And again, there's no reason to think they're actually going to do anything about it. But certainly MPs are getting very, very worried about this.